Hello, Lamar.
Hello, Tom.
We're going to pretend we weren't talking on the audio pre-show.
Exactly. What is the audio version, Tom?
The audio version, you say? Wait, what was the question?
I was like, what is the audio version, Tom?
Well, the audio version is the version without video.
Oh, well, thank you. I have learned more about technology thanks to this show, a daily tech news show.
I really like that that Raspberry Pi like modular thing.
Oh, the Kano, yeah,
that's cool looking.
It actually, actually is, the commenters, being silly, like, oh, this is not a real computer, blah blah. But for 6 to 10-year-old, again, I used to work in schools, and man, I was like, man, this would just be a cool kit for a kid to put together, learn how to build a little mini computer, and like it played just fine on my 4K TV. Like it looked great.
It's a real computer. I don't know what they're talking about. It's an actual Raspberry Pi. They just made it easy to put together.
Right.
So for the kids who would be put off by an actual Raspberry Pi, this could get them in the door, and they start to realize, oh, it's not that hard.
Right. And then they have the custom OS, and then ability to code some stuff in Minecraft. Like I think it is a really, really cool kit. I also have that screen to put together, which is going to be pretty exciting. I've never built. Thanks for watching my videos, man. Wow.
Oh, sure.
You know about the table, about this? That's like cool.
Yeah, I subscribe. I'm just
awesome.
I actually just subscribed on the DTNS channel too, because that way it shows up as related.
I expect you to comment and discuss with me my Oreo videos on a regular basis.
All right, that's the next step up for me.
Yeah, not just the technology stuff. Has to be the Oreos. But I was like way too excited about that IKEA table, man. That's a life changer.
That's a cool table. I have a table that you can adjust the length with, but it's hydraulic. It's not automatic.
Wow,
that's awesome. You're like next level.
Yeah, I am. I saw Robert Scoble, it shows about to start in a minute, but he showed one made about a year ago from this company that was here in LA. It was like $3,000.
Jeez.
And I was like, and so when I saw this one for $4 something, I was like, deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Like no brainer.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Without advertising, your radio station would sound like this. Without your support on patreon.com, the Daily Tech News Show would sound like this. We thank you for your support. dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, March 7th, 2016. Veronica Belmont on vacation, but no worries. We got Lamar Wilson in the house. How are you doing, Lamar?
I'm doing great. I am outshining you with this very bright, overly saturated shirt, just to try to replace Veronica as best as I can.
Man, you are bright. You're like the sun. And I mean that in the best possible way. You are my son. Wait, I'm your father? No, that's not what I meant.
Well, there's a big age difference, so I'm just going to no, there isn't.
Time travel,
Yeah, we could
my own grandpa anyway.
Universe. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, hey, we're going to talk about the nature of email. It was a very sad loss to tech history. Ray Tomlinson, he was age 74, who developed the email protocol back in the early days. We'll talk a little bit about that. Passed away this weekend, but we're going to use this to talk about the state of email. What do we use it for? What's it good for? And maybe we'll reminisce a little as well.
All right, that's good.
All right, let's start off though with the headlines. Google announced you no longer need an invite to sign up for Project Fi, its cell phone service in the United States. Google also is discounting the Nexus 5X from $350 down to $199 if you activate it through Project Fi. The service is $20 a month for unlimited calls, text, tethering, and international roaming. That means you don't have to pay to tether, but you still have to pay for the data. Data is charged at $10 per gigabyte, and they only charge you for what you use. So it's a little like Ting in that respect. They'll even give you refunds if you overpay. It combines T-Mobile and Sprint networks together, whichever one is strongest, but it only works on Google's Nexus phones, so there's 3 of those right now, and then a limited number of LTE tablets, although I think it does work on the latest iPads. This got people excited because Project Fi seems to be a hit among the people who have been invited.
Yes, I was so confused about this, and I don't know. I looked at the article. Is this for a certain region of the U.S. or literally everyone can sign up now for? In the United
anywhere
States?
in the U.S. now can sign up. It's not regional. If you're in a place where Sprint is better, you'll get connected to the Sprint network. If you're in a place where T-Mobile is better, you'll get connected to the T-Mobile network. And as you travel, it'll adapt, because what Google's doing is basically acting as an MVNO, a virtual network operator, and connecting to both of those. They're paying both of those networks.
Okay, I mean, yeah. If you're one of the 100 people, that's terrible. who have a Nexus, but no, I mean they don't sell as well as. But I see why they're trying it. Like, it's a small subset of people. If it works out, maybe more Android phones will come to the network. I think. I mean, $20 a month, and I mean, what's the average person use? 2 to 3 gigs, maybe, if they're on Wi-Fi. I don't use more than that, and I'm a heavy user. So. $50 a month.
I'm on one of those T-Mobile unlimited $80 a month. I probably use 4 or 5 gigabytes, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I like the flexibility of not having to, like with Verizon, when I used to be on Verizon, I'd have to guess how many gigabytes I was going to use every month and then try to get close. So when I was traveling, I would up my plan. And then when I'd get back, I'd have to remember to bring it back down. This way, you don't have to do that. You just use your stuff and then they charge you for it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. The Verge reports that Facebook is working with a limited number of WordPress users to test a plugin that creates Facebook Instant Articles. Facebook is opening up Instant Articles to all publishers on April 12th. WordPress maker Automatic plans to release the open source plugin to WordPress users by April 12th so that we can take advantage of it. This is similar to Google and WordPress working together on a plugin for AMP, the accelerated mobile pages, which is sort of Google's more wide open version of Instant Articles.
So I'm gonna tell you, I'm mostly an Apple News user. I used to be Flipboard, and
really? Okay, so you're using Apple News a lot. Interesting.
Yeah, I switched over just to try to give it a chance. For the most part, I like it. But I'm gonna tell you, saying that, I am getting a lot of my news from Facebook these days. Like that sidebar with the trending topics. I find myself getting pretty immersed in that. And so, although I haven't seen Insta articles pop up yet for me, I can see myself using it very easily and getting engrossed in that.
Well, and the way it should work is you shouldn't notice it unless you notice that something loaded really fast, because Instant Articles just reduces the page load and serves it from within Facebook so that you don't have to wait for it to load from the source articles server.
Got it.
And making it available for WordPress means that anybody could do this and not have to like go through some big partnership dance with Facebook. So that's cool. Verizon Wireless has agreed to pay a $1.35 million fine and give users more control over super cookies. Those are the ID numbers that identify mobile customers in order to target advertising. Verizon has been inserting these unique identifying headers, you might hear them called UIDH as well, into HTTP traffic since December 2012. Some limited disclosures were made in the privacy policy back then, but specific disclosure of UIDH itself was not made until October 2014. And a way to opt out was not really made available until January 2015. The US FCC ruled that Verizon had not provided accurate information to customers about the network management practice, found them in violation of both the Open Internet Guidelines transparency provision as well as the Communications Act.
I am offended and outraged that people would think Verizon, of all people, would do something malicious like this. I mean, come on. It's Verizon here. They're the best.
Verizon admits they did it.
Yeah. I guess they did. Yes, they did, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, they're paying the fine. Let's put it that way.
I guess it was worth it. It's worth the fine. I am for the information
they got. Themselves. It was
every
$1.35 million. Maybe, maybe not. They got some bad press. In fact, I'm not going to say this is the reason I switched from Verizon, but one of the reasons it was definitely in the back of my mind is they also were doing the super cookie thing, which you could opt out of in a way, but you couldn't fully opt out of until January 2015. And even then it was difficult to find the option to do it. So just another example of don't mess with the packets. Just give me the packets. Don't put things in them, don't reinterpret them, don't add targeting.
Just give you what you asked for. Yep.
Yeah. Lyft now has an API for third-party developers and has launched it with Facebook Messenger integration in 11 cities in the U.S. today. If that sounds familiar, that's because Uber did almost exactly the same thing back in August 2014, launching with Facebook Messenger. Lyft told TechCrunch's Sarah Buer it has rolled out integration with London's Citymapper as well. Now, Lyft doesn't operate in the UK, but Citymapper does operate in New York. And so if Lyft were ever to get to the UK, they might be able to take advantage of that. But Citymapper maybe get a little bit of a lift out of this itself. See what
Oh, wow. Okay. I can't even say my comment now because that was such a perfect pun. Just go on.
I don't know if perfect would be the word most people are using for that. But yeah, this is going to make it easier to get a lift, and you can already use this on Messenger with Uber. So these kinds of ride-sharing services certainly not going away, despite all the controversy and protests around them, and getting easier all the time. U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal of Apple's ebook case. That means a verdict from 2013 that found Apple had indeed fixed ebook prices will stand. It also means a class action settlement contingent on that decision will go into effect. Apple will pay out $50 million to lawyers and $400 million to ebook owners as part of that settlement.
So basically a day's worth of profits.
Yeah, I guess when you put it that way, it's not that punitive, which is why they fought it all the way. But what's funny is all the publishers settled right away. As soon as they got accused of price fixing, they settled. Apple was the only one who wanted to keep fighting this till the end. And that's tends to be what they do. If someone challenges on someone, they take it as far as they can go and try to rack up the costs. Sometimes the costs get revisited back on them, though.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Security researchers from Palo Alto Networks told Reuters Sunday the first ransomware target of a Mac has appeared Friday. Key Ranger is the first in the wild ransomware for OS X that is functional. It waits 3 days and then it encrypts files and asks for 1 Bitcoin to get them back. A Bitcoin's running around $400 right now, so it's not cheap. Attackers use the 2.90 version of the BitTorrent client transmission to infect users. That'll put a quake in a couple of boots out there. Apple has revoked a digital certificate that allowed the software to install on OS X, and Transmission itself has removed the infected version and released a version that removes the ransomware in case you had installed the infected version. Thanks to SP Sheridan and EFC88 for posting this on the subreddit.
Yeah. Well, I guess, first of all, shame on you for using BitTorrent.
No, whoa. I use Transmission, and I do use it. I'm not even joking. I use it for Linux ISOs. When I'm not even kidding you. Like, I know that's what everybody says, but I use Transmission as my OS X BitTorrent client for perfectly legitimate uses.
You use it for good things, for like legal?
For Ubuntu.
I'm stunned. You're probably the only person.
That is not true. There are at least 2 others.
Yes. Exactly.
But
this is scary though.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, many of you may use Transmission and other Bitcoin clients for ill, but that doesn't mean that's what it can only be used for. So I have to say, like, this is unfortunate for Transmission, which is a fairly good client otherwise, that they got sideswiped and somebody got into their packets. It's going to make me rethink whether I want to use them for sure, although probably they're safer than others now that they've been bitten, because they'll redouble their efforts.
Yeah. Now let me ask you that, because this word I've heard of this type of thing, people do, but I hadn't heard ransomware before. Like that word. Is that a fairly new? I know the concept is not new, but is that a fairly new term?
It's becoming more current. Yeah, as this has become more and more popular, it's starting to bubble up into the consciousness. But yeah, if anybody doesn't know, it means that somebody you get infected by malware that locks down your computer and asks you to give money back in exchange for that. It happened to a hospital here in LA. We talked about that on the show.
Wow.
Microsoft is shutting down Danish Press Play Studios and is in discussion with the employees of Lionhead Studios, best known for the Fable franchise, about closing down that studio as well. Development on multiplayer Fable Legends games is being halted, and the company will sunset development on Press Play's Project Knoxville. Fable is a big franchise, too. We talked about this on Pixels with Patrick Beja this morning. Really somewhat shocking to think that Fables is done.
Yeah, actually a big surprise. Like you didn't see this coming. I didn't know how much of it. I didn't even know they owned the studio like that to be able to knock them down. Like, and Fable was working on a game as of 2013, had announced it. Then they talked about it being a free to play game, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. And that's it's a shame at a time when PS4 is pushing these first party developers and making it very friendly for them to be there. You see Microsoft at least looking like they're doing the opposite thing. I mean, even a game from Lionhead, I think it was Lionhead. No, the Press Play, the Max and the Magic. Excuse me. No, they made Max and the Magic Marker, Curse of the Brotherhood, because I played that a little bit on the Xbox One. Great game. It was just sad to see. It's always sad to see developers lose their job. I mean, you don't want anybody losing their job.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it is Microsoft tightening the belt, getting more efficient at a time when the Xbox is resurgent. It's starting to catch up a little bit, but it's still far behind the PS4 in sales. And last week, of course, the announcement of the Universal Windows applications was at best mixed reaction, lots of negative reaction as well. So tough couple weeks here for Microsoft in the gaming area.
Absolutely.
Google's managing director for India, Rajan Anandan, told the Economic Times that Google is in talks with a number of local telcos about partnering with Project Loon to provide internet to rural India. Project Loon is the one that uses high-altitude balloons to cover rural and remote areas with Wi-Fi internet.
I think that was Facebook's thing. What does Facebook have?
Facebook has drones.
Okay. So they have drones. Google has balloons, and Yahoo has carrier pigeons. So I'm trying to remember what is.
I think Yahoo has SneakerNet. No, I don't know. That's mean. I shouldn't say that.
It's terrible.
No, I don't know that Yahoo is involved in anything like this. I could be wrong. Let me know.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But this is great. No, there's more places on Earth. Singapore, I believe, is involved with Project Loon. Of course, they've been testing it in New Zealand. There's talk of rolling it out in Brazil. So this idea of balloon delivered internet that has been so entertaining for us for years is becoming a reality.
Wow.
We mentioned on Friday that Amazon removed encryption from its Fire OS version 5 back in the fall, and that update started to get to enough people that people started to notice last week. Amazon now says it will be coming back. A spokesperson told the BBC, quote, "We will return the option for full disk encryption with a Fire OS update coming this spring."
And as you and I said on Twitter, well, how nice of them. Thank you for thinking of us this time.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're only going to make my device data insecure for a few months.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah, I would still
what are they doing here?
Yeah, I would love to know why they removed it. My best guess is it was a purely engineering-driven decision that somehow someone didn't stop. Because yes, encryption will slow down your performance. And yes, they did say that it was not being used by a large number of people. And so from a purely engineering decision, hey, feature not being used slows down performance, helps our performance to get rid of feature. But in this climate, even if it's not being used, that's going the wrong way. You want to be encouraging people to be safe with their data. So it's really odd, right in the middle of the Apple encryption debate with the FBI, to have Amazon. Suddenly people notice anyway that Amazon was removing encryption.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. Did they do this in kind of a preemptive response to if they ever get an Apple type of situation? They at least made me wonder, that'd be kind of silly to do that for that reason, but
yeah, a lot of people were thinking that. To my way of thinking, if Amazon wanted to curry favor with the FBI or the NSA, they would have left encryption on. They would have just weakened it, because the FBI and the NSA don't want you to think you don't have any protection. They want you to think you have protection, but then they want to be able to get in through a back door. So removing encryption entirely is not a good way to do it, because then the people who do want to hide things are definitely not going to use the Fire OS because they've got no encryption.
Okay, good point.
U.S. Department of Commerce has imposed export curbs, making it harder for China's ZTE to acquire U.S. products. Companies like Intel, for instance, who supply chips to ZTE, would have to apply for an export license to do so, and those licenses might not always be approved. ZTE is accused of violating a restriction on exporting controlled items to Iran. ZTE denies that they have violated this restriction, and Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Lei told a daily briefing, quote, China is opposed to the U.S. citing domestic laws to place sanctions on Chinese enterprises. ZTE can appeal the decision starting Tuesday, and I expect they will.
Yeah, cool.
ZTE, by the way, if you don't know, they make phones. You might know them from the handsets they make, but they also make networking equipment as well. So it's a double-edged sword there.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Finally, Chris Poole, aka Moot, the man who you've read 4chan, right?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you've heard of it. You have a friend who reads 4chan.
Comment. There's a friend. There's a friend.
He left 4chan about a year ago, and he announced on his blog today that he's going to go work for Google, reporting to VP of Streams, Photos, and Sharing, Bradley Horowitz. That's the department that has Google Plus, among other things. And when Poole left 4chan a year ago, one of the things he talked about was wanting to work on doing identity right. He said Google does a horrible job with it. Twitter does okay with it. And he said, I want to do identity right. And it looks like Google called him up and said, well, if we're doing such a horrible job, why don't you join us and tell us how to do it right?
Okay. Yeah. So a place that has anonymous people and no identity, he wants to now make identity done correctly, but didn't do it in his old place.
I mean, I think it's unfair to say 4chan has no identity. You can have a username on 4chan. It is definitely well known for its anonymity, but maybe that's the right person to bring in, is someone who's very experienced with dealing with people who want to remain anonymous and how to handle one of the most wild and uncontrollable communities on the internet. To do something like Google Plus, he should be able to do that in his sleep. Like, oh yeah, here's how you handle this. Here are the things to not piss people off, because that's one of the main failings I think of Google Plus has been the fact that they tried to force it into places like YouTube, for instance, and angered a lot of people with the way they did it.
Mm-hmm. You always have this positive spin on everything, and this is why you are in that seat and not me. So you continue.
Yeah, I'm probably wrong.
No, I think you're right. It's because it sounded good, so it must be right.
Yeah, you can make things sound good. I can take the other side of it too if you want, but no, I think this will be interesting. It's sort of like only Nixon can go to China, right? Only Moot can wade into the Google Plus controversy. So,
God.
Well, folks, thanks for letting us know what you would like us to talk about. It really helps us put the show together every day. So please get into our subreddit and vote at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can submit links there as well. Lots of people submitting links. We love that too. But even if it's just a couple votes on stuff that looks interesting to you, that helps. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. All right. Thanks to Strike It Rich One, who posted this discussion topic in our subreddit. Again, we're talking about the sad passing of Ray Tomlinson, 74 years old, apparent heart attack. Back in 1971, Tomlinson was working at Bolt, Baranek and Newman, BBN, in Boston. It was right around the time that the first imps were being delivered, the internet, the things that built the internet. And he was charged with finding out stuff to do on what was then called the ARPANET. So he started messing around with something called the send message protocol, SNDMSG. Now, that was usually used on a computer itself to leave messages for other users of that computer. But he said, well, if we got this ARPANET thing, Lamar, I want to start sending messages from one computer to another computer. Now, he wasn't the... I know, right? He wasn't the first person to think of this. Richard Watson at SRI actually wrote an RFC for a mailbox protocol that summer in July 1971, but Tomlinson thought he could do it better. So he combined a file transfer program that he wrote with send message to deliver messages to other computers connected to the ARPANET. He said the first one he did was send it from one computer on one side of the room to another computer on the other side of the room.
Yeah, right next to him.
He's like, I don't remember what I wrote. It was probably just QWERTY. Or something like that. He doesn't remember exactly when, but he does remember that he picked the @ symbol, and he told NPR that he picked the @ symbol because it's the only preposition on the keyboard. It wasn't really being used in programming that much. And so if there is no dispute of his legacy of the @ symbol is now like become huge on the internet, right?
Yeah, no one can really dispute that part.
The mail commands were put into the file transfer protocol in April of 1972, 4 or 5 months after his initial attempt. More people worked on it after that. And then he was inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame in 2012. Now, there is also a claim to email from Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, who created a software system in 1978 when he was 14 years old that he dubbed email. He got a copyright for his email software in 1982. It is generally considered that he certainly popularized the name, if not coined the name entirely, which some people give him credit for. He says he invented email. Tomlinson was always a little more demure, saying, yeah, there were people doing similar things before me. Lots of people kept developing it afterwards and turned it into the email system we have today. And Dr. Ayyadurai is one of them. So, there's lots of signposts in the road along the way. But can you imagine, like, this thing, 1971, we get the @ symbol. That's before the year that vinyl on HBO took place.
Yeah, I wasn't even thought of in 1971.
I was
sorry.
born.
were you around? Wow, yeah. Tom, that's a long time.
I was probably, I don't know, I was probably still in diapers. Maybe I still am. But
this is pretty incredible, though.
There's no doubting that email has endured as a communication method, and many people have predicted its demise over the years, going back into the 90s even. Instant messaging is going to take it over. Text messaging is going to take it over. And now we're talking about Snapchat people don't use email anymore. Why is email still around, do you think?
I have a few answers for this. Number one, it's the number one social network in the world. I mean, it's by far the biggest. It's still around because although Facebook Messenger is great, what you and I are using right now, the Google Messenger and Hangouts is great. AOL Messenger, text messaging, all these different systems are fantastic, but you have to buy into those systems. With email, there's no buy-in necessary. You just open up a mailbox and anyone can send you anything, and you can send anyone anything. You don't have to know if they're on a Mac, on a PC, if they have a Android phone, iOS. It is the perfect system, and we really have not made anything better for messaging that's ubiquitous across all these different platforms. I can't think of anything that's even close. Maybe SMS. Maybe SMS is the closest.
Yeah. But you don't really use SMS on your desktop. I mean, yeah, there are ways with things like iMessage and other programs for Android. But email, I think you're right. The fact that it is open, anybody can use it. You don't need anyone's permission to start email. Anybody can start a business providing email, and every email business will work with every other email business. I think that's a lesson that we should not ignore. Because the trend these days is the opposite. The trend is to say, well, we're going to create our platform that works with our services.
Yeah.
And I think that email is very instructive because there's a lot of downsides to email, but its openness has really kept it around. And the downsides are big. Security is a problem for email. Spam has been a problem for email. Just the way we manage it, I think, is probably even the biggest problem, don't you think?
I think I absolutely think so. Cause that's really what Google is tackling right now with the what's the, I don't use it, their new inbox software. Oh, okay, it's called Inbox.
It's like calling your daily news show Daily Tech News Show.
Exactly. And then there's what was the Wave? Wave was a thing they tried. Yeah. I mean, I commend these companies for trying. But you're right. Maybe they're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe they really need to take a lesson from email and say, hey, how can we make this even better, or just make a system out of this for regular messaging? Because there's something there. I love email in a sense that it's everywhere. I don't love getting a lot of spam email, but
Yeah, people keep predicting the death of email, and I have a feeling that it's the cockroach of internet protocols. I don't see email ever dying. It can rise and fall in popularity. What is it good for these days? Because there are plenty of times when I email people and I don't get a response, and I have to try some other method of communication.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, or what I use it for basically is anything longer than I would want to text someone, sending files, sending links to people. I will say though, in response to both of these questions, will it die? What's it good for? I think what we need to end up having is just some kind of, like our social security number, just some kind of permanent type of ID that stamps us. And heck, it could be our social security number. Maybe those will just become public, and we could just use this one number.
You just lost a good portion of the audience. So
Yeah,
like,
I know.
But
I'm
something
not
like that.
Yeah, you know, I'm not saying I want that. Some kind of permanent universal messaging thing where it hits your phone first. You don't answer. Hits your email, your text. Just one contact place, and it just tries to get you wherever you might be. I think that's where it's going. I didn't really answer what's it good for, because that's, I mean, basic communication. But you're right. It's really hard to get people a lot of times on email because they don't check it.
Yeah, I think the benefits of email are, like you said, the flexibility. I could send a link, I could send a file, I can write long, I can write short. The only real killer problem with email is people not being able to pay attention to it because they get too much of it. Again, it's that management issue. And there's like you said, there's inbox, which lots of people in our chat room are saying they love, and maybe that helps, but that's proprietary. You got to use Google maybe you don't have to use a Google email address, but you got to use Google's product to use inbox. And so, I mean, we've had a lot of time to work on clients, and we still haven't really nailed it, have we? What was the first client you used?
Oh, wow. So my first client was Juno email. I believe that was late 95 or 96 for sure. I had just Windows 95 had just come out. I had this old 486 and just getting on the internet for the first time myself, and that was my client. I was so excited to log in with the modem making all that noise, to see that I got a message from grandma, whoever else happened to have it at the time. I kept Juno for quite a while, even though I used AOL and other things. I loved Juno. Did you use that at all?
I never used. I might have had a Juno address actually.
Okay. I just thought that was the first, but it probably was not the first main
I
email
used
one.
Pine. That was because I was one of those. Oh man, I was an insufferable hipster who hated the graphical web in 1993.
Oh, you're one of those. Okay.
So I only had shell access to my internet service provider, CCSI. So I used Pine. That was how I emailed until 1996, when I finally gave in and I got an email address from concentric.net and AT&T WorldNet, and I started using Netscape Communicator for handling email.
Wow, that takes me back. Yeah, I think after Juno, maybe it was CompuServe or AOL or something. But I remember WorldNet. My God, that was a lot. That brings back some memories. And
then so I started using Communicator for my email management on the desktop, and I think I used Eudora for a while. I kept going back and forth. But I also I had a USA.net address.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.com address.
Okay, you're taking me way back. Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
PilotX at Bigfoot.com. Doesn't work anymore. Don't email it.
Yeah, right. Don't try. I think I had Lamar Wilson there. I don't know. Lamar something. It's crazy how many email addresses we had. And then when Yahoo finally came out, that was mine for years. I signed up for a Yahoo address around late 90s, whenever, and I still have it. That's my longest running email address. Same here. Yeah, because what happened is I closed it some years ago, but Yahoo gave you this option recently in the last few years to get it back.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I went and I said, you know what? Let me, just for nostalgia, get my old email address back. And so I always have it for life now.
I'm sad that I actually used to clean out my email, because now my Yahoo box goes back to 1999, and So there's 3 years of email that I just deleted back then.
Yeah, see, I'm an email cleaner. The most I have is 2011, I think. And so,
well, let us know your reminiscences and especially what you guys think email is good for, what its future is. I think it will stick around, and I think its usefulness will rise and fall depending on the clients and how well we can secure it. And Google and Yahoo particularly, and a few others, are making great strides in raising awareness about email security.
And like the guy from the identity theft commercials, use your social security number. It will protect it.
Didn't that not work out so well for him?
I think that kind of failed.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our pick of the day from Harrison. Another good travel tip, but maybe a pick of the day with all the talk on Raspberry Pis. If you travel, I'm sure you've heard of FlightAware. You ever heard of FlightAware, Lamar?
I have not, actually.
So FlightAware lets you look up by tail number or flight number, not only like the arrival times of flights, but where they are in flight and whether your plane is actually coming.
I use Flight
when
Track.
it's going to land. Yeah, similar type of thing. So Harrison wanted us to know about PiAware. No, it's not about Pi. It turns a Raspberry Pi into an ADSB receiver and feeds this data back to FlightAware to help improve the service. It's a nice way to crowdsource flight data in the United States, which is very well covered, but they do need more stations in some foreign countries. And he says, here's the tip. By setting up a PiAware box, they give you a premium account to FlightAware for free. Now, granted, you pay $100 US for the hardware and a little in power each month, but I feel like I'm contributing to something I use a ton. It's a nice thing to have and not a must-have, but wanted to pass this along. So you're collecting data from the transponder signals, passing along to FlightAware, and you get a free FlightAware account.
Okay, so that's a nice crowdsourcing idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be needed here as much. You're right, because we kind of have our system together. But yeah, some other countries for sure.
Or if you're in a rural area in the U.S. or in places where the coverage is not as great, this is fantastic. So and if you have a Raspberry Pi already, then that's free. Yeah, you do, as a matter of fact, don't you?
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a cool video that you did.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. A few more emails before we're out of here. Drew from sunny Boulder, Colorado, has weaseled a reasonably attractive piece of hardware. He says Amazon. He has not weaseled it.
He hasn't done it.
Apologize, Drew. I'm not accusing Drew of weaseling. Amazon has weaseled a reasonably attractive piece of hardware with an always-on microphone and connection to Amazon goods and services into some of the most prime real estate in my house, the kitchen counter. Given that, it's fun to brainstorm the further ways that Amazon could add value to future versions of Echo. Could it be a Wi-Fi router, similar maybe in shape and size to Google's OnHub router, or a Wi-Fi repeater? You could pair it with an IR blaster and make the Harmony Hub obsolete. Anything else? I think Amazon has a win here. Anecdotally, everyone I know who has tried Echo has fun with it. The product is good enough to keep a place in my kitchen, and it just keeps getting better.
You know, Tom, I'm an Apple fan. I haven't used HomeKit yet, but I gotta say, man, I love my Echo. Like I use it multiple times a day, and I just found out that Nest is going to be partnering with them in a couple of weeks for my Nest thermometer, which is I don't have to do the if thing, and so like it is just getting better and better every week with new features, and I have never been more impressed with a piece of technology than I have with the Echo. It's really good.
Yeah, I like mine too. And I think these are intriguing possibilities. And Amazon seems to want to slowly just add capability to it. So then last week, Patrick recommended the Asus R2 3200AC. And Scott, who is studying networking and systems administration in college, has had the same router for about a year. Maybe it's not in college, but he's studying it. And writes, it really won't be any faster or better than something in the 1900 AC range, but what the 3200 AC does is provide improved support for legacy wireless protocols. And he talks about the fact that sometimes if you have a slower wireless device on your wireless network, the network will slow down to the speed of that device, thus slowing it down for everything on the network. He says the 3200 AC is a tri-band router, and it merges the 3 streams, 2 5 gigahertz and one 2.4 gigahertz, into a single SSID. It then can detect a slower device and segregate its traffic to its own band, allowing the AC devices to continue utilizing the 5 gigahertz band and get the full speed they're capable of.
I thought newer routers did that already. So, like, if I have a G connected old phone, they will slow down my whole network to accommodate for it.
Depending on the router. Yeah, some routers do this merging tactic. But what he was pointing out is, while the 3200 AC that Patrick was recommending isn't necessarily a better router than the 1900 AC, it does do this one thing. So if you have a bunch of different devices with different Wi-Fi profiles.
I see. You guys still got some 802.11b devices around the house.
Yeah, me too. Like, I don't even, like, I've got 21. I have to look at my Eero, but I have like 21 devices connected at any one time.
Wow.
It's nuts. Marcus said, with all the AR and VR talk, I would have to recommend reading Rainbow's End by Werner Vinge. He describes the epiphany system as projecting from contact lenses input by shoulder muscle movement, various consensus views of different reality, even a virtual theme park where different visitors can explore different virtual worlds, all overlaid on the same physical environment.
I never heard of this book. Have you?
Rainbow's End?
You're in the reading like this. Have you read it?
I haven't read Rainbow's End. It is a gap in my science fiction literacy. But I love this idea. And Werner Vinge is an amazing author. So
yeah,
definitely.
I do like I can't even imagine putting contact lenses on. I don't know if you do, but like I can't imagine just that horror of trying to put something on my eyelid.
No, I'm already weirded out enough with like my freaking reading glasses that I have to wear for certain things.
Oh my!
And then having to stick something in my.
You're like a librarian now with those.
How did I think I just attached it to my microphone. Okay. Renard has some more ideas on the uses for virtual reality. Tell me what you think of these, Lamar. He says real estate and showing properties.
Yes, absolutely.
And especially for long distance clients, he says. Car sales, sitting in cars before the showroom.
Absolutely. Those are good.
Yeah. Wedding reception venues could show off their properties so you don't have to visit.
Okay.
And one real future idea for sports, can you imagine courtside seats through virtual reality, 50-yard line at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but if everybody's sitting at it, everybody has the same seat. It's just like, but
that's one of those ones that eventually gets less popular because people realize, I mean, I can't actually see all the things I can see on a regular Switch television broadcast.
Exactly. But I really love the idea of like walking around into a house and seeing all the rooms without you having to physically be there if you're on the other side of the country, instead of having to fly. That is genius.
Yeah. We could have used that when we moved to LA. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lamar Wilson, for joining us. As always, folks, go subscribe, youtube.com/Lamar Wilson. I love your 2 most recent videos about your adjustable desk that's automatic. That thing looks cool.
Yeah. So I have an automatic standing and sitting table I got from IKEA. And I let them put it together because I'm lazy. But it's really amazing. Like, you need to check it out. And then I did a fun video about the Kano computer kit for kids, where we're teaching kids how to code computers from 6 to 10 years old. Or heck, there's some adults in my audience who are like, look, forget the kids, I'm buying this thing. Yeah. You know, it comes with a Raspberry Pi and instructions on how to build this, and hook it up to a monitor, and you can like start coding for Minecraft, Pong, and some other games. Like, the possibilities are kind of endless with it. So there's something that I'm a deficit in. I have a deficit in when it comes to programming. I think so. It's nice to just learn some basic stuff. I mean, all I know is HTML, really.
It's really cool too, because I know a lot of DIYers are going to look at this and go, well, wait, I can just buy a Raspberry Pi and do all this stuff myself. Why would? But that is too intimidating for some people. But trust us if you don't believe us.
And a 7-year-old, yeah, exactly.
Some 7-year-old maybe do the DIY, but if they're sort of like, I'm sort of interested, but I'm lazy, this is the thing that could draw them into it by making it really easy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So check those 2 videos out. We got some more cool tech stuff coming this week and beyond. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. YouTube.com/Lamar Wilson. Thanks to everybody who supports our show directly. That's the only way we make money is because you like the show enough to give us the value back. We're going to get a new episode of Day 6 from Peter Wells, thanks to you guys supporting the show. That'll be coming out this Sunday from Australia. And we got more milestones on the way. dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Don't forget, I'll be in Austin, Texas this week for the Diamond Club party on Saturday, March 12th from 2 to 5 p.m. with Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood. And we'll be doing an LA meetup Saturday, March 19th, 3 p.m. at the Farmers Market.
I will be at that one. I didn't know you had that coming up.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll make sure I come.
So come meet me. Jay will be there. Lamar will be there. It's going to be a good time. Even if it's just the three of us, that'll be great.
Yeah, we'll drink beer again.
Yeah, but y'all are welcome to join us too. That would be great. Thanks everybody for watching. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com or listening. Call us 512-59-DAILY. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com for the listening and diamondclub.tv for the viewing. And visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Ian wants to know how you ended up spending so much on a table. You should tell him about the one Scoble shot.
Oh, yeah. People are saying in the comments, I'm like, I wonder if these are, and I'm not, nothing against the person, but I wonder, have they furniture shops? Because furniture is not cheap for good quality stuff. You know, $400 is nothing yet. Robert Scoble showcased one maybe a year or two ago, standing desk, and it was about $2,000-3,000. I haven't messaged the company to say I'd get one for a review and never heard back from them. So when I saw this $470, I'm like, easily. It's easily worth that for someone who does what I do. With the unboxing thing, like I actually want to start standing up in my videos now, because I actually don't like sitting down all the time doing unboxing.
I have an adjustable desk here. It's hydraulic. It's not automatic like yours. It's old, but it.
What do you say? A hand crank?
No, Father Robert Balaser got it sent to me. It's got hydraulics, so I'm hugely thankful for Father Robert. I've been using it for 3 years. So yeah, it's not a crank. It's pretty easy. But I've been thinking about doing the stand-up thing too.
Yeah, I didn't know you had one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You never can tell because I'm always sitting down, so it's kind of wasted.
It's supposed to be healthy. I don't spend more than 10-15 minutes in there filming a video, but it's still nice and it makes me look thinner. Because, it's not all the fat is not pooled in one area when I'm sitting.
It's slimming, folks.
Yeah, it's very slimming.
Get the new automatic desk.
Yeah. See, I need to be the
and wear vertical stripes.
Yeah, exactly. You'll look hot in no time.
Yeah. What should we call this episode?
Hot in no time.
Showbot.tv. Hot in no time. We've got
Fee, fi, fo. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Balloons as a service. Email is where it's at
okay, that one has to be it.
I kind of love that. Is that it? We going with that?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to read the rest of them. That's perfect. Who did that? That's perfect.
Captain Kipper did that one.
Oh, good job. Good job.
All right. Wow. Email is where it's at.
It's where it's at. I like that.
You impressed Lamar, Captain Kipper.
And it takes a lot.
He is. He's not a nice man.
What do you say, Robert?
Balloons.
Roger, sorry.
Yeah. Doesn't ring. Doesn't.
Nah. Doesn't jingle. Doesn't ring.
A bad transmission. Get it?
Oh, because of the transmission app. Right. My transmission's out.
We're going with the email. We're doing it live.
Oh, we've already fit the email. Don't worry. Okay. I'm already uploading.
Okay. Oh wow.
But we like to give another. There's lots of interesting suggestions. It's good to.
I had to do my inner O'Reilly though.
That was your outer O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah, it is. When I was
O'Reilly Auto Parts or.
Yeah, sure, why not? I used to, and I don't have any political affiliations, but like years ago, I used to, like when I worked at a school, whatever, I used to make sure I get home, and I would watch O'Reilly,
really?
O'Reilly religiously because I liked that there was finally a news commentator that wasn't like Peter Jennings, rest in peace, who just reports the news and doesn't like give any flavor to it. All he's doing is teleprompter reading. It was kind of refreshing to see someone who just like kind of challenged the news or challenged the thinking, and I just he was loud and obnoxious, and I like that. Yeah, I mean because again I don't share any political affiliation. I liked it for the news. But now with the political field,
it was entertainment factor, right?
It was entertainment factor, and I like commentators over what would you call
talking head newsreaders?
Yeah, newsreaders. Yeah,
objective reporters.
Did you watch him on Current Affairs? Because that's what I thought the first time I saw him on Fox. It's like, wait a minute, wasn't that guy on Current Affairs? Like,
I remember Current Affairs. I remember seeing him on there, but I didn't really know who he was.
Because that's where I remember him from. It's like, wait a minute, that guy used to do like a lightweight version of the Inquirer and People magazine on TV, and now he's like a news anchor. It's a big stretch. Did you ever watch the Robert? Was it the Robert Downey Jr. show or the?
Really? They have a variety show?
Iron Man?
Wait. No, what was the talk show?
I know what you're trying to say, and I can't remember it now either. Now that you said Robert Downey Jr., I'm like,
no, I didn't say Jr. I said Robert, or it should be Robert. Something Downey.
It was something Jr. though. You're right.
Yeah, Downey Jr.
It wasn't Downey though.
That's it. I think it was.
If Robert Downey Jr. had a variety show, I am going to flip my stuff.
No, talk show.
And he's singing, and
I don't think it was Downey.
He was like the loud. He was
Morton.
like the loud.
It was the Morton Downey Jr. show. Yeah.
No, I have never heard of that.
You have never seen it? He was the loudmouth on TV that used to follow Phil Donahue and Montel. Like everyone else was really like copacetic and tried to be like the great bridge between the various people on stage, and Morton Downey Jr. was just a loudmouth. He would just scream at. It was like a shock jock. If a shock jock had his own kind of like daytime talk show.
Wow, I forgot all about Morton Downey Jr.
Oh, this guy. Okay, you know what? I know I didn't like. I don't have any connection to the show, but I just saw his picture. I do recognize him.
They made fun of him with Dick Dietrich's Up All Night, or was it the? There's the early 90s.
Yeah, okay. I think like the staid Edward R. Murrow objectivity became too stale, and so there was a big movement, and radio started it, to like put perspective POV shows out, and Bill O'Reilly was a big part of that, as was Rush Limbaugh. I feel like there's a balance to be struck, because the problem with going full POV sometimes is that you lose sight of the facts, and there really is a value into respecting what's possibly true versus just spinning everything to fit your theories.
No, I agree with you.
But you're right. Like if it's always just very dry factual information, it's not very popular, because people it's like, there's enough people who will do the actual building of a thing, but sometimes you need the kit that makes it easier. It's like the entertaining news shows are the kit that makes news interesting for people who otherwise wouldn't watch news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about the 5:30 news with either Tom Brokaw or whatever. And it made me wonder, like, are they reporting? Are they reporters? If they're glorified reader, they're glorified readers. And I don't know.
They come from the Walter Cronkite era of news anchors. Like, they were all journalists, in the field, and they built a reputation, and that's what you were listening to. You were listening to them give the news because you trusted them.
They were journalists. You're right, and like they did get out in the field more so than
because
others.
They were going to be held responsible for what they said. Yeah. So there's a certain amount of, just even when they weren't in the field, like vetting that what they're about to read is actually the right stuff. That's the right information.
Remember, there were only outside of PBS and whatever your local station was, there were only 3 national broadcasters at the time, and so that's what your voice of authority came from.
Okay, I got you.
Replaced it with a bunch of 20-year-olds who glibly talk about stuff they actually haven't a clue about. Actually, that's
I'm sorry, I say, did you just say YouTube, or I didn't hear what you said? It was very clearly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like they got replaced by Reddit, so a bunch of 20-year-olds can glibly talk about things they don't really know anything about.
Gotcha. Yes.
But then I said, wait, that actually applies to the internet as well.
That's the whole internet.
Well, and Reddit isn't just 20-year-olds. Believe me.
Well, they sound like it. They sound like everyone I knew my first year in college.
Well, Tom just disclosed to me earlier that he didn't respect me when he first met me, so.
That is not true. That is not what I said at all. You're Bill O'Reillying me. Stop it.
Like, who is this guy? He thinks he's the world's funniest.
Just said, wow. all I said was when because the first time I ever saw Lamar, I didn't even meet you. I just saw you because you showed up on one of the Apple keynote coverages we were doing on Twit and introduced himself as, again, I always get it wrong, but
the title was World's Funniest Tech Reporter.
World's Funniest Tech Reporter. I was like, okay. I was skeptical. But the point of saying that was to say, and then once you started talking, I was like, oh, this guy is funny and he does know what he's talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah, I vaguely remember you like, World's Funniest, huh? Make a joke, buddy.
I didn't. You do not. I didn't do that. Did I?
You know, Lamar, you're a quick study. You've learned all the tactics of your much beloved O'Reilly.
No kidding, man.
Yes,
I'm on the hot seat now. I was trying to say something nice.
It's funny. Back in the time, I would have loved. I mean, this was before YouTube. I would have loved to do a show like that. I just now I couldn't. I don't have the heart to be like that to people.
Well, because that was interesting for a while, and now it's become harsh and
everybody's doing it. It's like it's not and it's gotten mean versus because it felt like O'Reilly he did it, but he was also smart. Like it felt like he knew what he was talking about for at least the issues I was interested in.
And I feel like the successor to that is The Daily Show, Last Week Tonight. Like that's
good point.
That's sort of the next wave.
Well, next week tonight is actually, I would say, even more so because last week tonight.
Next week's yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because I mix it up with that Australian show, Today Tonight.
That's funny.
Isn't that Australian?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many Tonight shows. But he, Oliver is very candid. He's like, I'm not a journalist. His show is very much his viewpoint of how he sees things, and I think it's good. He cultivates a certain kind of personality. I think gels with a lot of people that want to hear more of what he has to say. And so it's more of a personality-driven thing. Like, you couldn't do that show with someone else. You couldn't replace him,
Well, but that is The Daily Show. I mean, it is a version of The Daily Show. So I think you're right that it's personality-based, but I think many personalities can do shows like that now. And I guess my point of bringing it up is that it was sort of the reaction to the meanness of the talk show format. Even though they're not always nice, at least they're trying to be humorous, and so.
Colbert was the exact. I mean, that was the exact personification of O'Reilly. In a sense, Papa Bear. Totally. Really enjoyed that.
I really like that show. It's kind of weird to see him do and integrate that shtick into the.
How has he done it? Because I don't watch any late night TV.
He'll do monologue-y stuff that would have been a Colbert segment, but he's not being Colbert. He's just being ironic or satirical now. He's not being a character.
So does his voice, does he still have the same not voice as far as like mimicking, but like does he still have his same comedic tone?
Yeah. He does. His patter is pretty much the same, don't you think?
It definitely feels like it's Colbert related.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to watch it.
It's good. What I've noticed, especially with the desire to make everything very clippy, like you can put on YouTube, is that they do a lot of content that you can find on YouTube and it's kind of specifically aimed for it. I mean, it's the same reason why Jimmy Fallon does all those kinds of game showy elements with guests, because that stuff is things they can easily pull out and stick on YouTube or whatever.
Right, very clip show.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think Letterman's old show or Tonight Show in the past ever really tried to do that. So it's interesting seeing that happen now more and more. Like Jimmy Kimmel really has gone crazy
Johnny
with that.
Carson used to do a bunch of skits. Like he pulled from the old vaudeville style. Like I'm going to integrate some of my. Was the one the Great Karnak was like the one I used to love a lot, where you would put on the like kind of.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classic Carson. All right, gents. I'm going to take us off the air, but thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you. That was a fun post conversation.
Yeah.
Now everybody thinks I'm an O'Reilly fan, which is not true.
So,
the past O'Reilly.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.